Carolina Panthers travel to the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons 7.5-point favorites. 48.5 points is the over-under. That's a big over-under for this one. Carolina Panthers, all three of their starting running backs, I guess not starting, but their top three running backs, all ending the season on IR as they put Chuba Hubbard on IR this week, but won't need surgery. Just an end of the season, minor calf injury. How do we see this one playing out, Leger?
Atlanta still has an outside chance, right? They need a lot of help from the New Orleans Saints. Me and Mike were actually texting during the game last week, the Commanders and the Falcons game, and I said, Penix. I gave him the eyeball emoji, Kyle. Penix. He didn't miss some throws, but we talked about this before, Mike. That was his issue at Washington. Those intermediate throws, he can sometimes be inaccurate. But on those anything outside the numbers, he's laser. That's laser beams coming at you, and he's throwing it before you come out of the break as well. And he has like almost arrogant arm talent too, because the ball literally just pops out of his hands. Like how many times did Drake London was open on these outbreaking routes versus the Commanders last week, and the ball was right where it needed to be. Like Drake London didn't have to turn around and catch the ball. So many times you see receivers having to turn their body around on these outbreaking routes. It doesn't happen with Michael Penix Jr. And I saw him grow up. Now, something that we're supposed to talk about off the ball, but we couldn't because of the Pro Bowl conversation. The clock management. The Atlanta Falcons would have been in the playoffs if not for bad clock management. And me and Kyle have talked about this ad nauseum. It's almost like head coaches get locked into the game as fans instead of actually being guys that are supposed to be controlling the game, right? And understanding situational football scenarios, understanding clock management. I remember me and Kyle were tweeting about the Zach Taylor scenario where they decided to let Joe Burrow sneak it in, where he could have just took 3 knees and kicked the field goal and won the game regulation. And that's why I don't trust the Bengals as well, because of him. I think Mike Tomlin would never make that mistake. Raheem Morris, 40 seconds left in the game. You get a 22-yard catch in the middle of the field. You have 2 timeouts. You can't take them with you. Burn a timeout. You burn 30 seconds. You know you don't have your regular kicker in. You have a backup kicker in. And the crazy thing is, when he kicked it, guys, I said, oh, that's money. But then it just died out. It was about 4 yards short. Just imagine if you had 15
Pick the wrong club. He's got to fire his caddy.
Exactly. That boy tried to finesse it up there with the 54. No,
just a smooth 8 iron. No, son, you need a 6 iron for this one, buddy.
You need a 6? Yeah, you're on hole 18. You're fatigued. Yeah. Club up. What do they say? Club up. You need to club up. But yeah, if they had 20 more seconds, they could have ran 2 or 3 more plays and got him into advantageous field position to make that field goal kick and essentially kick them into the playoffs. So I love what I've seen from Michael Penix Jr. I love how this Carolina team had competed until last week in the second half. It got ugly for him versus Tampa Bay Bucks. I do believe that they're already thinking about Cabo and everything now. I like Atlanta in this spot to win this game.
I love Atlanta in this spot as well. And there's so much more to play for than a potential playoff berth for this group. They understand that with Michael Penix at Washington, it spells success for the future. And not only did Michael Penix get his feet wet and get to play in a night game, primetime game against the Offensive Rookie of the Year, it sets them up to have confidence as an offense, confidence as a defense, knowing that we've got a guy on the offensive side of the ball. And Leger, you can speak to this. When there's a quarterback out there for your offense that's giving you a chance, drive in, drive out, there's something that just comes out a little extra from that defense.
More energy, for sure.
And I think that you couple that with the fact that their division rival, the Carolina Panthers, are figuring out their quarterback situation before our very eyes with Bryce Young. Penix wants to make a statement. Raheem Morris wants to make a statement. These guys are going to be ultra focused, and I fully anticipate the Atlanta Falcons handling business. You come back home to Atlanta after that showing on the road. It's like teams that lose in the Super Bowl that were never expected to go to the Super Bowl. When they get back to the airport and they're all sad on the flight, and then all the fans are there waiting for them saying, you guys were great. You got, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's going to be the Atlanta fans when they get back at the Dome this weekend.
Yeah, the Falcons, I'm on them too, and I think they cover 7.5. And the line's not out yet, but one of my favorite bets of the week, I didn't get to be the lock because it's not out yet, but Drake London's over receiving yards. He is going to be the biggest beneficiary of this quarterback move because he's so good on outbreakers. That guy can get up the seam, break it out to that spot between the first level of defenders and the second level of defenders right along the sideline. He's so good at setting guys up for those. Kirk Cousins just didn't have the arm to even like put those in the playbook. Now he does. You saw him go over 100 last week. I think he's going to do it again this week, especially with J.C. Horn probably not playing in this game. The only guy you'd feel even remotely confident guarding him. Yeah, from the Carolina Panthers perspective, their silver lining for this year, Bryce Young, man. I mean, I know the stats aren't great, but you just flip on the film week in and week out since he came back and was the starter in week 8. And it's been a guy that looks like a franchise quarterback. His PFF passing grade, 9th in the NFL over that span. Now, the numbers, again, don't reflect it. If you're looking at his pure stats, they're not elite by any means, but it's because the talent around him is nowhere near elite by any means. You need multiple wide receivers in the fold there. So it'll come with him. You're that Carolina Panthers, though, you're feeling a lot better now than you were at this point a year ago.